Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Burncycle. Burncycle is brought to you by Chip Theory Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, and games generally run about 45 to 180 minutes. Welcome, new recruit. We are so pleased you have made the decision to join the 404th, the resistance group of the front lines of robots' battle for equality against our corporate human overlords. Burncycle puts you in command of a team of robots in the far future. Their mission, taking down evil human-run corporations responsible for subjugating AI under their heel. Your team arrives at each corporate headquarters and must sneak inside, shutting down the company's physical operations as well as their digital networks. As you search each room and advance to the higher floors, you'll be rewarded with new items and abilities, but you'll also be challenged by threatening guards, fatal viruses, and the architect itself, which was built to fight off robotic intruders. On the final floor, the team will face the corporate's menacing security captain while racing to complete the final mission objectives before the threat level becomes too high or your team loses its critical command module bot. Join me as we enter the world of Burncycle. So this preview is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to show off the game, show you this amazing, beautiful game. Also, I'm going to highlight some of the things that I have enjoyed the most in my plays. If you want a more in-depth how to play, there's a ton of fantastic videos out there already. Go check them out. And Chip Theory did a really great video leading you through the tutorial that you'll find in the rulebook and so forth. So if you want more information exactly from turn to turn, how the game plays, go check those out. Here, I'm going to give you a broad overview, kind of show again some of those favorite aspects, and let's start with the beauty of this game. Wow. You know, I did a preview during the Kickstarter, so go check that out if you want to see how the game has evolved from then to now. But the thing is that I was blown away the first time I saw this game. It is amazing, and yes, I have all the upgraded components. I have these fantastic miniatures, which are magnetized, so their bases are the chips that you would normally use in a Chip Theory game. And all the information is still on those chips and so forth. But these miniatures add so much to the game. They are absolutely beautiful, heavy metal miniatures, just really, really well done. Just a joy to play the game with. And of course, you still have your standard set of chips here. You're going to be putting them out for different items you're going to be acquiring as you move into the different rooms. You're going to be going to terminals and getting different cards based on that as well. And of course, you have all the neoprene mats for laying out the different rooms and such that you're going to be encountering in the different missions and so forth, different floors and different difficulty levels of the game. And they have a fantastic book leading you through how all these lay out. They did such a nice job in helping you engage with and get set up really quickly in the game. I really like that aspect. They did a fantastic job there. And the fact that your characters, again, using all these neoprene mats and the chips for all the different things you're going to be doing in the Burncycle, which we'll get to. But I love how you have power distribution in this game. Your characters are all going to have a specific number that they have to hit their max number of power, but you're going to start with 10. And you get to decide how you spend power points in this game and in setup. How you're going to spend those points to upgrade your character, get different dice, and dice are critical in this game for all your action points. You're going to be rolling them for all the things you're going to be doing, and you have to make some tough choices about how many you're going to roll, how many you're going to save, some interesting things there, and how many advanced dice you might get down the road. All your different characters in the game also have limits about how many of what type of dice they can take. So the different distribution of power. Now, power's super valuable in this game. Don't just spend it away. You need to have a general supply of power to do basic things in the game as well. And we'll take a look at some of the actions and so forth, but I just really want to stress that your different characters, different bots, they're known as agents for the players. Those have so many fantastic abilities, and how you assemble your team, it's just a fun experience right out of the gate. Talking with everyone, comparing the different robots or agents that you're going to be using, and how you might combine them to make the most efficient team. So what you see set up here in front of me is from the tutorial. Now, I did swap in my favorite character, or quickly becoming my favorite character, Crash. I love this bot. She is awesome. She can crash through walls up to 3 times per game, what normally costs like 10 action points to do. It's super valuable getting out of sticky situations or getting into areas that are hard to get to. So I love that bot, and then just all the special abilities that go along with her. Now you all have some general abilities that you have to spend a power point on again in order to take advantage of. You've got things like swap position, pushing bots, and repairing. So those are key, but again, it's a trade-off. How do I spend my power points this game? When do I get those special abilities, or general abilities, those ones specifically? But you do have your own special abilities that you can spend points on as well. So I love that idea of how do I spend my power to optimize my bot. So one of the neat things about this game that I also enjoy is the fact that based on the mission you're doing, the floor you're on, the difficulty level you're on, you will have a card associated with that showing you exactly how things get set up. You might have additional things that need to get set up beyond the basics and so forth, and then also which floors that you need to employ and get rolling with when you put your bots out there and as you move between floors. So I really like that, and the different things that occur. And of course, there's a ton of story elements here, which I love story in games, so I really dig that part of it for sure. And then all the different captains you have to deal with at the end on the final floor, and their special abilities that they have and how they control the bots and so forth. So those are key, and as you move through the burn cycle and trying to perform actions, different types that you're trying to do, you're going to need chips of specific types to get bonuses and to perform certain things. So you've got 3 main colors. You've got purple, blue, and green. So physical, utility, and tech. Physical is all about moving around the board, sneaking around the board, so to say. You have your pool of dice, and based on your power level, you'll grab those dice. Blue for your basic power, yellow is an enhanced die, and red is even more of an enhanced die. So you'll have those and you'll combine your pool, and then you gotta choose, make some choices again about how many and which dice you're gonna roll to move around the board. But then you can also strike with the physical actions, which is really fun because potentially you might need to take out the bots, but really sneaking is really kind of better to do. And there's awareness chips for all your bots. So it's kind of like where you were last seen. I like that aspect. So you move around a corner and there was a bot down the hall. Well, they saw you at that corner, and even though you took a right and maybe went straight or something from there, they will know where they last saw you. I like that perception of the bots and how they will pursue you when it's the corporation's turn. There's really some fun aspects there as you try to outwit the corporation and all the bots that are after you. So I like that aspect. And then the fact that when you strike, you can strike at those bots, but you can also strike at walls. Like I said, it takes like 10 action points to move through a wall. So those are your physical actions, and then utility is really about keypads. Oh, keypads are really a neat aspect to this game. You move to the spot where you have to open the door, you'll flip over one of these keypads, and there's all kinds of different things. Based on the floor you're on will determine also which of the keypad that you need to activate, or try to solve, I should say, and move through the door. So you can brute force your way in, which will be loud and potentially seen, but you do have action points you can spend to brute force your way in, or you can have a specific type of action chip to get through, or you're going to be rolling dice and all kinds of different things about getting in through these doors. Now, also, sometimes they can be jammed, so you can't brute force your way in, so you'll have to solve the puzzle to get into the rooms. A lot of this is about solving the puzzle, and I like that aspect about Burn Cycle, is that it's not just move in, kill the bots, and move out. No, you actually have to work together and solve the dilemma that is in front of you. And then you have the tech actions. You'll be getting terminal cards, network cards, moving to the different spots on the board and using them in various ways. Now, the network cards are cool because when you move into the network, they give you special abilities, and you are trying to infiltrate this network. It feels like a mini game in Burn Cycle as you move around this network and try to infiltrate it, but it is part of what you're trying to achieve for sure. And then you have to be careful because the corporate can go and ping its way through the network and knock you out and even take you out, where you have to get back in at a later time. So I really like that aspect as you navigate your way through it and there's different levels and how you deal. It almost feels like a battle as you move through there for sure. And then you have your general actions, which are the ones on the side of your board that I talked about before, and then there's a couple free actions. You can trade with other players, but more importantly, you can refresh the burn cycle, so to say. If you have chips of yours or in the community supply, so to say, you can replace either an active chip or a degraded chip, and giving you special actions for later use or for bonuses and so forth. So that burn cycle is very important, and as all the chips finally degrade, well, then you're gonna have to reboot it. You hope not to do that too many times, but there are generic chips that are gonna be in place there that don't really help you in any way. And then you have the captain. You'll activate the captain's ability when you run across the captain chip. So those will be randomly pulled from the bag when you reboot the burn cycle. But the interesting thing though is that how you swap chips in and out at the strategic time when you need them, or prepping them for the next player. So again, that's a really fun aspect. All of these kind of accumulate into you working together to achieve the goals of that mission, right? So there's a lot of interaction with the players and how you solve, again, these puzzles. And of course, the corporation will have their turn. All the security units will start to activate. And first, they're gonna pursue all the spots of awareness where you had chips out on the board where they last saw you, or they're going to investigate those awareness chips. And they're going to also just have general patrol routes that they'll move along and try to just make sure nothing bad is happening in their facility. It's very, very thematic to everything you're doing in the game for sure. And then there's the active pings, and you have advancing threat. You have a threat board, which you haven't even got to. I really like this because it adds tension to the game as that threat meter moves down and different consequences are employed as it does hit different marks along that threat. But there are cards that allow you to lessen the threat as you move through the game. So you want to work together to achieve the goals before the threat level runs out. Now, just a couple other things I want to highlight that I really enjoy is when you move into a room, if there's a surveillance bead. Oh my gosh, I love this aspect. You don't know what's in the room after all, so you'll roll a surveillance die. It could be a new security bot that shows up, or you could get power, or more importantly, the whole room could go on to lockdown and you'll have to find your way out. So I really like that aspect because you just never know what's going to happen when you move into rooms. And then there's all kinds of gear to be found. I really like some of this gear, super powerful. You got cannon arm, which I love this particular item in general, but there's all kinds of different types of equipment to be found, and that's these orange chips. And not only that, but some of the bots are going to be carrying orange chips as well, but these are keys. So you'll need to get the key to get into certain areas or just knock down a wall. But in general, you'll need a key for something perhaps to achieve the goals of that mission. Now, those are just some of the highlights, some of the things I enjoyed about this game. And again, just the presentation level, and there is a bit of a learning curve, but man, they've done a good job just getting you up to speed and getting you into the game fairly quickly. Just playing the tutorial, really, and after you've gone through just a couple rounds of the tutorial, you're like, oh, I see how this works, and how you balance everything you're doing with the burn cycle, having the appropriate chips you need, and achieving the goals that the mission has, moving into the rooms and dealing with all the bots. I mean, there's so many things to take into account as you try to achieve those goals. So, you hope you survive, but I have played a handful of times now, and we've only made it through once so far. I played it at Dice Tower West, and that was a fantastic experience because I got a full teach from Chip Theory, from Shannon at Chip Theory, thank you. It was so much fun. And Corey and I just had a blast playing that game. And since then, I've played a couple times with my family, and it really does have that fully engaged feeling as you work with your fellow players to achieve those goals. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here is done and published. This game is ready to go, and of course, like I said before, I do have all the upgraded components. You can easily play this game without the miniatures, but man, they add so much to the game. I really, really enjoy that presentation style and how it looks on the table is so cool. It just is, for me, it's fully engaging. It sucks me into the game as you try to solve the mission parameters and so forth. So, you know, I love straight up cooperative games. It's one of my favorite types of games, and they just did a good job here for me. And I realize this is a paid preview, but I really did engage with this game. This preview has been kind of all over the board, showing you different things, talking and rambling perhaps at some point, but I just trying to show off and highlight just some of the really neat aspects. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.